Hey YouTubians, it's Tony here from We Try Anything, channel likes try anything so you don't have to. In today's video, we're going to take a look at another vintage watch from the Casio range, but this time the Casio that we have featured here has I'd say two unique features that we haven't seen on many, if any, Casios that have been featured on this channel. And we will talk about them two little features later. So today's Casio is the very slightly worn Casio W-69H with a module number of 2289. So as usual with the watch reviews that we undertake on the We Try Anything channel, we'll be looking around the Casio W-69H, highlighting some of the materials used, the design of the watch, and mentioning some of the sizes along the way. We'll then go through some of the functions that this watch has to offer, pop it on our wrist and say it's like to wear. There are instructions to this watch that are listed in a link below, which will take you off to the Casio website. And we will be releasing a tutorial video coming very soon that will help you understand a little bit more about this watch and how to use it. So subscribe to the channel and find out more. So as it is an old watch, this watch is an eBay purchase, like a few of the recent watches that we have featured on this channel. The reason being, you can't get this sort of watch on the likes of Amazon or Argos here in the UK. And also what I do like to show is how these watches wear over time, because a lot of people do tend to wear these watches as beta watches. And if you are considering a watch now, obviously considering a watch, you do understand that you'd probably have to buy this what would be pre-loved. But if you are considering a watch, then I tend to like to show you how these watches wear over time, just to give you an idea of what you're kind of in for really for your money. Now, with it being an eBay purchase, it does have the original strap, which is great, but this original strap does show a lot of signs of wear, so just be aware of that when I am popping it on my wrist and saying what it's like to wear. And the other thing to mention is that there isn't much information on this watch. Now, obviously, with it being a couple of decades old, probably even more than that if anything, then a lot of things haven't really been said or mentioned about the Casio W-69H. So it will be mainly about my findings and my assumptions on this watch, which I'm presenting to you via this review. So saying all that, let's look a little closer at the Casio W-69H that we got featured here. So first of all, it does have a plastic resin case that measures about 40mm in diameter, and as you can see with the wear on this case, the actual bezel, what's going on around here, the metallic effect, or what would be silver effect paint, has worn away. So just to give you an idea of how these watches wear, I mean obviously you do get a little bit of yellowing and stuff like that happening to this watch, but if it's a watch that's worn daily or as a beta watch, then these watches will wear over time. Now, as I say, it's 40mm left to right, 42mm pusher to pusher, because this watch has two pushers that extrude from the watch, metal pushers, and it has a plastic pusher which is flush to the other raised part of the watch, which is a little strange. I haven't really come across any Casios that aren't really sharp, that aren't really rounded in the way they look, and this one does have the pushers that just protrude out in a more of a rounded fashion. So yeah, a little bit different to the usual Casio affair that goes on. Top to bottom, or what would be known as lug to lug, you are looking at what would be 45mm. Case thickness wise, you are looking at 13mm from what would be the stainless steel back to the spherical glass, acrylic resin glass. The actual inner lug width I've measured about 18mm, and the strap, as I say, it is a leatherette strap, and I believe it is the original strap that came with the watch, which shows some signs of wear, and obviously the velcro part of the strap is starting to just lose its as it were, its grip on itself. But it doesn't affect the way that the watch wears. It just means that you just got to be a bit more careful in making sure that you fix it a lot stronger than you would do normally. But in terms of sizes or width, you are looking around 22mm on what would be a leatherette effect strap with some form of fabric and velcro going on. In terms of weight, you are looking at a 34-gram watch here. Nothing too heavy, but again, it's not super lightweight. It is just okay, basically. It doesn't affect how it sits on the wrist. And as I've mentioned, the actual glass, you are looking at a spherical, so there's a slight dome into it going on here, resin glass. Now, the reason why I mention it's resin glass is it is prone to scratches here, and I have used Polywatch to clean this dial window up here, but unfortunately I will have to spend a lot more time if I want to get rid of whatever's going on here. So there is a few deep scratches that go on with this watch, but again, you know, this watch is maybe 20 years old, I'm guessing, and it will attract scratches through obviously people wearing it daily. Now on the back you will notice that there is a stainless steel back which has the usual 4 screws that happen to a lot of Casio watches, and it does feature a water resistance of what would be 5 bar or 50 meters, and also it is a quartz powered watch. It is the actual display on the watch does have that very nice green background that tends to change hue depending on how the light hits it. So obviously in certain lights you don't see it, but then in other lights you do see that very nice stark green background to it. And the other thing to note is that this watch has a graphic display that measures every 5 seconds, and it also measures other things as well on the watch, which I'll talk about in a bit. So as you can see, the LCD or the font that is on the actual display for this module, it isn't like the usual LCD font that you do tend to get on what would be other Casios and stuff like that and other digital watches. It's more like a dot matrix effect, which if you search up dot matrix, it was like a style of print in the 80s and 90s, or the way the printers worked. But if you look it up, you'll understand what I mean, because it'll just show you how dot matrix printers worked and how they looked and the actual print that they produced, and this definitely does remind me of it. Now the other thing to mention is that it is, to me, it is quite legible really. There's no mistake in the time, and there's definitely no mistake in the date that's always shown on the timekeeping mode that's going on here. And talking of timekeeping, it will allow for 12 and 24 hour formats as well, which is easily adjustable in the adjust feature. And also this watch does also feature an electroluminescent backlit display, which if you press on the actual light button going on here, you can see it's like a greeny teal blue color really, which is quite nice in the dark to be able to read the time on a watch of this age really. Now talking about some of the functions that this watch has, this watch does feature 2 what would be unique features that I haven't seen on any other Casio watches that I have featured on this channel, or any other watches in any other kind of watches that I have featured, and I'll talk about them in a sec really. So I'll just quickly gloss over the other functions that this watch has. It has a timer, which is a countdown timer, and the countdown timer will go from 1 minute up to 24 hours that it will count down from, and obviously when the countdowns happened it will sound an alarm for I believe about 10 seconds. And also this watch does also feature what would be 3 alarms, or 3 daily alarms, and an hourly signal, which are easy to set. And as I say, I will be doing a tutorial video on it very soon. So as you can see, I'm just quickly cycling through the 3 independent daily alarms, and there's your hourly signal, which you can activate that way. Now the one thing I have noticed that this watch doesn't feature is the stopwatch. It has got, as I say, a countdown timer, but it doesn't feature a stopwatch, which is quite strange, because a lot of Casios that I have featured on this channel, even the quite basic, quite rudimentary and very affordable Casios, do feature some form of stopwatch, but this one doesn't, which is a very strange thing that I've come across with this watch. But there is 2 things that this watch does feature that a lot of other Casios don't. Now the first feature that this watch has, which is called Easy Adjust. Now from looking at the instructions to this watch, it's a function that I scratch my head about. Now if you do know a little bit more about the Easy Adjust, then pop it in the description what your explanation of what Easy Adjust would be. But to me it would be something where you can easily press this button and it'll adjust the minutes and the seconds, but what it does, it zeroes them off. So if I, as you can see, it is 10:25 at the time of recording, so if I press Easy Adjust, straight away it has zeroed off the minutes and seconds. So if you are very close to, or you are on the hour and you want to be more accurate, then I would imagine that's probably where that would help. But other than that, I don't know, I just don't see the point of it really. But you know, again, it's a very unique function that this watch holds. Now the other one, which you probably noticed that I skirted quickly around, it's got a day counter. So what, as you can see here, what I've got, and it has got 5 different day counter data ranges that you can put in this, which is indicated by what you can see going on here with the graphic display. So on this one, what I've done, I've actually put this, I've set this watch as you would do, you know, you just keep your finger on the adjust button, you can set the actual date going on here. you will notice again, you see the target date going on here, and then you see the days being pointed to at the bottom. So what I've done, I've set it to what would be a year from today, and as you can see, it has counted that it's going to be 365 days exact to the next, as it were, the data range that I put here, which is a year from now really. But what this would be good for, from what I've read, is that it's, as I say, it's got 5 dates in which you can account the days to or from, and it's quite handy for birthdays and Christmas and anniversary and a whole host of other things really. So the next one I've put in is, you know, it's like, for example, what would be the 1st of the 1st 2001, and as you can see, it's been 7,940 days since that date. The next one I put in is what would be Christmas this year, so it is 88 days left till Christmas Day, which again, you know, if you get excited about Christmas, which I do, it's a nice little feature really, so at least you know how many days are left till Christmas. And obviously I've done it for the what would be the 1st of January or New Year's Day on 2023. As you can see, you've got 95 days till that event, and that's it really. I mean, it's got the 5 days, and as I circle through the 5 days, as you can see, if my studio lights can show it any better, you can see the graphic display going from the next option to what would be the first option as you cycle through them. So again, it's a very, very unusual feature that I've never seen on a Casio, but again, some people may find it very useful. Some people, you know, might be scratching their head thinking, well, what do I need that for? But if you want to count down the amount of days to Christmas Day, then there it is. So saying all that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it on my wrist and say what the Casio W-69H is like to wear. So on the wrist, it's a nice watch. It's not big or anything like that. I mean, that strap is comfortable, but as I say, it is a well-worn strap, so it should be really. But it is a nice looking watch, and that green, I really do love the background green colour to that digital display. It is just something, you know, when you catch it in the right light, you just think, oh God, it's just really nice to look at. Graphic display, very easy to read, and no, I haven't gone back in time. I've just literally I just haven't readjusted the time on this watch. But again, very easy to read the time off. Nothing special, no gimmicks or anything other than that little graphic display that goes on. But it doesn't impinge on any of the actual time or anything like that. You can easily read it. And if you want to find out the light, it's as easily done as that. And then obviously just going through some of the functions that this watch has. But again, if you're after something with the stopwatch function, then this watch doesn't have it, which I find really strange. But other than that, it's a nice watch. No, as I say, it doesn't inhibit hand movement. With it being a fabric strap, it's quite warm to the wrist. You know, it doesn't feel the usual, as it were, resin plastic sort of, not coldness, but you know, it's not as warm feeling as this watch has got. And I've got to say, other than just maybe you may have to get a new strap that will probably have a better Velcro attachment to it. But other than that, it's a 20-year-old, maybe a bit more old watch, but it's still a very nice watch to look at. And I still think that Casio, they really do make some very nice watches that a lot of people do enjoy. And this is another one. There's no exception to how this looks. It's a really nice watch to look at. And if you are looking for a very unusual, very unique watch that has a couple of unique features that you don't find on any other Casios, then maybe the Casio W-69H is a watch to add to your collection. I mean, if you are looking for a watch that is probably a bit more newer and stuff like that, then you probably have to look elsewhere. But other than that, very nice watch. And if you do have the funds and you do see it on eBay and it's in quite good condition, then definitely add it to your collection. So I hope you liked the review of the Casio W-96H, and if you did, click on the like button, always helps the channel. If you want to see more reviews coming from the We Try Anything channel, then click on the subscription button below. And thank you for watching this video, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.